From Cowboy Bebop, Mega Man, My Hero Academia, to upcoming sets and challenger decks featuring Attack on Titan, Star Trek, and even Tekken, Universus has had a pretty expansive amount of IPs that have come to the game, which always leave us the question, what's going to be coming next? What sort of IPs would we like to see in the game? What sort of characters would you like to see face off? So in today's video, it's going to be a top 5 of my dream IPs that I would love to see in Universus, from the realistic to the absolutely ridiculous. So my number 5 is going to be the Netflix Castlevania series. So this is something I could see more as like a challenger deck than I really could see as a full-on set. One challenger deck could feature Alucard and Trevor Belmont. The other one could be Dracula and Lenore. It kind of fits the theme that Universus has had in their history with a lot of animes. And then there's also those rumors of them supposedly working with Netflix to reach a deal with something. I think this would actually kind of thematically fit with, you know, like I said, from the previous shows that they've had in to the game, and kind of like what the game is about right now. Like it's about those kind of out of the box matchups, those ones where, like, you know, well, who would win in a fight, Godzilla or Dracula, or Deku and Trevor Belmont? Like, they sound ridiculous on paper, but I think for what they could do with the Castlevania series, I don't think there's enough there that you could do for a full set, but I think this would be a really cool challenger deck series that you could see in the future at some point. Speaking of full-on sets, my number 4 is going to be the Lord of the Rings. Editor note here. Just wanted to let you know that, yes, I realize that Magic the Gathering already released the Lord of the Rings set, so, like, can we just, like, pretend that that never happened and just roll with it? Okay, thank you. So, currently right now you have the Critical Role decks that are out, and you kind of have the Fnatic theme of, like, D&D and spellcasting and things like that, and what better IP to reach for if you're looking for, like, a D&D theme, right, to reach out for the Lord of the Rings. They have plenty of characters that you could do for a full set. I mean, you could have, you know, characters from Gandalf to Gollum to Bilbo. You could do Samwise. You could obviously do Legolas, Aragorn, Saruman. I mean, I'll even take a character that's, you know, Pippin. Like, you have a lot to work with, and I think from Critical Role kind of teasing the fact that they're spell cards that they're looking at, I think doing a full set of this would not only give you kind of more an expansive reason to put more spell cards and aspects of like that into the game, but this would also get you an absolute ton of characters to work with, and tons of, you know, really cool art that you could do for the game. And I think this would be kind of an underrated hit. Like, I don't really see it happening, but I think if it were something that were to come into the game, I could see a lot of potential that could reach for the game, and a lot of cool little combos that they could do with it as well. Now, this is probably the most ridiculous out of my top 5, but at number 3, I've got WWE or AEW. I mean, come on, right? You're coming from the worlds of anime, kaiju monsters. We're gonna have Star Trek and Tekken in the game very soon. What's more anime and soap opera-ish like, and even some comedy mix in there, more than professional wrestling, right? Like, imagine you sit down at the table at a locals, you put down like your really cool Godzilla deck, or you have a really cool Akagimi deck, or, you know, you have some of the upcoming Titans from Attack on Titan, and someone across the table from you is playing the mudhole stomping, finger flipping, beer swilling, toughest SOB on the planet, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Or they're playing, you know, half of the mega powers and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. Or if you wanted to do current day wrestling, like Kenny Omega could be really cool to see in this game. New Day, you know, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Big E. They're all really big into video games and the kind of nerd culture. I know that this is an IP that's absolutely ridiculous, and there's no shot that they could do it, because one, they would have to do original art. I don't know if they would just do screen grabs of their matches and just kind of put them on cards. Two, the likenesses for all the professional wrestlers, especially the way like their contracts work, it would be so tough to get them into the game. But when you're talking from, like I said, the powers of like what's more anime than anime, and what's more, you know, soap opera-y than soap opera, what's more comedy than comedy, what's more action and action than professional wrestling. I know it's out there, I know it's ridiculous, and I know it's, you know, having them in the game would just be absolutely hysterical, and I would love to see those matchups. At number 2, again, this is another one that's widely ridiculous, and you kind of would have to be careful for what you would put into the game and how you would go about it, and to make sure that it stays within that quote-unquote kid-friendly atmosphere, if that makes sense. I'm not really sure what word to use in this situation, but at my number 2, I'm going to say South Park. This is one where if you felt too limited, you could make it a challenger deck series and do like their Lord of the Rings characters, or when they did their superhero personas. If you wanted to theme it off of that, I think it would be rather interesting and rather intriguing to see those kind of characters in a game like this. I think thematically it would work, and I don't see a reason why, like, especially like I said, if they're on board with Paramount. South Park has kind of got this weird tie with how their licenses work. They're on several platforms for streaming as it is. So I don't see this one being too ridiculous, but if it is something that were to come to fruition, if we did put it out in the universe of IPs to come down the line, that's one that you really got to be careful with, and you would have to theme correctly. I don't think you could do just the boys. I think you, now that I'm thinking about it, you would have to do either, like I said, the Lord of the Rings characters or their superhero personas or something of that nature. And my number 1, which I'm sure a lot of you saw coming, because you know, if you know me and my video game history, you know what my favorite video game is, you know who my favorite video game character is, and it's something that, again, because we've had Mega Man in the series, and he, you know, as a license gets lent out pretty far, and again, it's another tie with Paramount, Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't see why he couldn't be in the game, right? Again, that would probably be another one that you would have to do as a challenger deck, only because there's not really an expansive amount of characters. You know, your main staples, you know, you have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, Metal Sonic. If you wanted to do Amy, you could. Other than that, like, I don't really see like the offshoot characters, like the little enemies, you know, being like main staples as far as characters go, but I could see them being like certain foundations or certain attacks, or even some certain assets or actions. But I don't see why Sonic the Hedgehog couldn't come into the series. I would imagine Mega Man was pretty popular at the time, and I know for the retro format there's a lot of people that still like to play, like Dr. Wily, for example. I don't see, especially right now with the popularity of Sonic the Hedgehog right now, especially with the success of, you know, the 2 movies that are out now, with the 3rd one coming up here in about a year or so. You know, they had really good television series. He kind of had a little bit of a flub in the beginning when they did that design of whatever the hell cursed image that was. But I think right now Sonic is at the top of his game, and I really could see a world where, like I said, if not a full set, I could definitely see a challenger deck of like having Sonic and Tails in one, Robotnik and Metal Sonic, or Robotnik and Knuckles in another one. But I think it would be really cool to see another video game adaptation to the game. And, you know, you can't get the big IP, unfortunately, because they are very protective of the IP. But, you know, they're willing to throw things at the wall for Sonic the Hedgehog, them being Sega. They're willing to throw things at the wall and see if it sticks. And, you know, from what we've seen in the last 5 years, I don't see why they couldn't at least give it a try and see where it could take them. For all we know, it could make the game, as of Universus, it could make the game more popular. It could help build Sonic the Hedgehog up a little bit. But I definitely see that as a very good possibility of an IP that could come to the game. Well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, drop a comment down below and let me know what sort of new IPs that you would like to see come to the game, and what do you think of the ideas that I have. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe as well. And then follow me on my social medias, all at MyHeroGoob. And be sure to give me a follow at twitch.tv/MyHeroGoob, where I go live to play anything from Universus. I also play Marvel Snap on Twitch as well, and then I do every other Saturday a stream on there where I play some multiplayer games with some friends. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.